the left and Boy stayed onside. Here's Mounier. 2-0 Huddersfield Town on the opening day of the Premier League. De Plata's forward. De Plata's got the better. Yeah! And Laurent De Plata scores. Laurent De Plata scores.
It's in the box. It's in there. It's in there. It's there. It's on the run. It's in there. The King of Huddersfield.
Hello and welcome to the Drive-In. Huddersfield Town have recently taken 2 steps forward and then a big step back against Luton Town. So up next is AFC Wimbledon. Will Town continue to do their own version of the hokey cokey, or will consistency start to come as injuries and suspension still bite pretty hard in HT1? It's been 25 years since Huddersfield Town last played Wimbledon at home, and I think we can say that now, can't we, Killer? Because MK Dons, I think, have officially given their history back. But speaking of the aforementioned, a man with a checkered history himself, it's Ian Kilroy, who again joins me for the driving episode. How are you doing, pal?
I'm all right, Matt. Is it a public holiday in your house? Have you declared a national day of celebration due to the news coming out from the club today regarding the new sporting director, not director of football, which I thought it would be? But how are you feeling, Matt? How are you feeling in the moment?
I'm going to write something about it. I think it's better if I just kind of sit there and think about it. But good. A bit nervous because the problem is with football fans and sporting directors of football, head of football operations. I genuinely don't think a lot of football fans understand the position fully, and a lot of them just look at transfers. And managers always have the last say on transfers anyway. And to be honest, the director of football, it tends to be a bit of a scapegoat position. So I'm a little bit nervous for him. I know he's good, and I know he'll do a fine job. It's just that if he does do a good job, no one will say anything. And if he doesn't do the best job in the world, then everyone will want him burning at the stake. So it's one of those things, and it's fun. A little bit nervous for him, but really excited for him as well because he's a massive Huddersfield fan. And it's basically his dream job, so I'm really, really happy for him. But he's got a lot of work to do. But what I'll do when I write about it is just kind of try and outline what to expect from it, rather than thinking that we're going to get Chicky Bagheeri staying and he's going to be bringing in players from Barcelona, etc. But I'm digressing. But it's interesting. It's going to be good. I think it's a good appointment, and I think the best thing you can say about it is you've got one of us. I could say, one of us, Killer, because his first big break was obviously on Andy Takes That Chance back in 2020. So yeah, it's just good to have I think we've lacked since Kevin Nagel's come in and Anhoff's left, and others. I think we've lacked a Huddersfield person. Someone who is Huddersfield through and through on the board, apart from DTS, obviously, who's stepped up. But I feel like we've lacked someone who's got or who knows the club really well and who knows what to expect from the club and who knows how to drive the club, etc. And I just think it's a really good appointment from that point of view, rather than anything. But nervous for him because I've already seen loads of comments from Bolton fans, which are a complete load of shit for a start, and some of them are mixed, but I'm sure the truth will come out eventually with some stuff, and we'll have to just see how he goes. Clean slate for all, and exciting me. Anyway, waffling. Let's talk about Wimbledon, because that's what we're here for. So the last time out Huddersfield met Wimbledon, Killer, on home soil was 12th of September 2000. Wimbledon won the game 2-0 with a double from a tall ginger striker. Can you name that striker, Killer?
No, actually, no, I can't. I'm still Accu still lives. Accu still lives in my head from an FA Cup game. I'm still distraught from that. I didn't expect us to go down this route because my history with AFC Wimbledon is my degree and all my studying has always been in business studies. And the first course I did was a VGCSE at school, which is a 2-year course based on coursework. And the entire 2-year studies I did was on AFC Wimbledon. It was straight after MK Dons had obviously done their dirty deeds and AFC Wimbledon had started. So I actually interviewed loads of the people that set up the club initially. So it's kind of a bit of a full circle moment for me in regards to that, because again, at that point they were in not much better than division I was managing in last year, down in the Idisman Division 84, whatever it was. It's actually nice to see him here because obviously they do deserve it. However, that FA Cup game, Matt, still rattles me. It still rattles me. So I don't know who the ginger
It still
striker
rattles
is.
Ian Dunn. We interviewed Ian Dunn a couple of years ago for Cult Heroes episode number 1, and he still kicks himself for not running the ball into that corner and running down the clock. But it is what it is, isn't it? I mean, it certainly was. It was good to be on Match of the Day back then. It was a novelty, especially when you were young and you're at school and your football team were on Match of the Day, and they put in a good performance. It was.
We did, Matt, but it upset me so much. That year, I completed the Panini sticker. Was it Panini sticker book or Merlin? I can't entirely remember. I refused to put F and Accu in. I wouldn't do it. I would not do it. I was disgusted. So my sticker book is still at my mum's, and that sticker is not in the book. That's the vengeance I keep, Matt.
Have you got the new EFL Panini sticker book? I bought it for Charlie for Christmas with a load of stickers, hoping that we're going to get a load of Huddersfield ones in there, and any Bradford City ones will get burnt, I think. But
no, I haven't. Although I have
there's
seen
there's a new specific EFL one.
I've seen the EFL Legends page, Matt, and there is one name on there, not like the others, I believe. If you've seen it,
I haven't seen it. I haven't opened it. It's still in its plastic.
I think you've got Martinez and all the legends that have played in EFL for like 1 year. Jamie Vardy's in there as well. But the guy at the beginning, I believe, is Adebayo Akinfenwa, who was obviously an EFL legend that links with everybody else, having played at the wonderful levels of the Soccer AM arena. I'll tell you what, though, his goal in that was unbelievable. Not quite Leo Castledan's free kick the other night, but it was quite good and worth a watch if you want a bit of a flashback to when Soccer AM wasn't as bad as it ended up being.
No, it was good, wasn't it? I always say Max Rushton kind of ruined that, didn't he? Unfortunately. And he's quite good on the radio, bless him. But anyway. So the last time out, so the goal scorer that we were looking for is John Hartson. He was the one who got 2. You tend to think more West Ham than Wimbledon when you think of John Hartson, or Luton. But Huddersfield Town team that day, how many of the starting 11 do you reckon you can name? Is this what we're doing Pointless? I don't watch Pointless, but I think this is what you do, isn't it? Where you say a number.
2000.
Yeah,
not particularly many. I'm a little bit younger than you. I am a little bit younger, so it's a little bit beyond me. I wouldn't even be able to go from there, from Steve Harper at the back, but that was after then, before then?
That's before.
Okay.
So yeah, Steve Harper's 98. So just think of that Steve Bruce team. That
Nico Varson,
Nico Varson was in goal.
Varson,
Lequette was at the back.
Was that Moncau? Yep. Did he play at that point?
Ken Moncau did play actually in this game. Yep.
Wow, I'm doing all right here. So it'd been Stewart up top then at that point. I'm missing a midfield out here. Lee Makel. I'll just chuck in random names.
No, Lee Makel's not there.
You'll have to go through it, Matt. This is not my strong point. Although I'm quite happy I got the defensive third. That's what's important to me. How we defend.
Well, you've got 3. Surely you've got the midfield. Dutch wide player who
Dean Gorey,
who plays very similar to Ben Wiles. Yeah,
Dean Gorey, Ben Thornley. Then
no,
Matt, you've been unfair here.
All right, so at right back was Rob Kozluk, or Cozzy as Neil Warnock calls him. Left back was Jamie Vincent. He was, yeah. Left back was Jamie Vincent. Central midfield were Chris Beach and Craig Armstrong. Dean Gorey on the right. Chris Holland was on the left. Kevin Gallen was up front with Martin Smith. Roll forward 25 years, Killer, and Town's relegation from the Championship and Wimbledon's rise from League Two sees the clubs meet once again, with Town looking for their first home win over MK Dons. Not MK Dons. I've just put the Dons and I've got confused. Over the Dons. I'm really sorry, Wimbledon fans, if you're listening to this. Over the Dons. It's history. If MK have given it back, they've given it back. But the Dons since 1984, that's the last time that Huddersfield have beaten Wimbledon at home. Town haven't beaten Wimbledon in their last 8 attempts. Killer, everyone bar you predicted relegation for Wimbledon this season on our pre-season preview show. This could be a big win for you because you predicted them to be chasing playoffs. I think you had them pretty much where they are now. Tell us how they've been doing this season and why Wimbledon are better than pillocks like me expected, who can't even get their name right for a start. And pretty much offended every Wimbledon fan on the planet. So,
yeah, well, then again, Matt, it's nice for you to fire these ones instead of me for a change.
Mate, do you know what? My excuse today is that I've been to the dentist And he had to put 4 injections in the side of my mouth to make it go numb for this filling that I've had. And it's made me absolutely do lally ever since. This is why I'm all over the place today, but that's my excuse.
For me, Matt, a team that gets promoted, if they have a good defence, it goes a long way. It goes a long, long way in the division above. And okay, obviously they lost Owen Goodman, who I think got a record amount of clean sheets last year in League Two. And they finished the season with 4 1-0 victories to get promoted, including the playoffs. A team like that can defend and didn't lose any real stalwarts in the defence other than the keeper. They were always going to do okay for me, Matt. They've also got Joe Lewis that plays in the shortest shorts I think anybody else does in the EFL. So that's something for Town fans to have a little gander at on Saturday if he does play. But yeah, as you said, Matt, 8th versus 9th here, and for us, we feel like we're underperforming. AFC Wimbledon are very, very happy with how they're going. They're a very different club to everybody else. As obviously the fan owned, due to what happened before with MK Dons, they have a very strict paperwork behind the scenes in that they don't accept investment or in the way the football clubs do. That is still they've got a big disagreement going on at the moment where they're looking at bringing outside investment in because they feel like they're at the point where you can't compete any higher in the English football league without having a corporate backer. And now, obviously, we're sat here with Kevin Nagel spending money for fun here, there, and everywhere, both on the field and off the field at the academy. And Matt, is Chris Markham kind of your boss now? Then, if you're a bit of a scout for the under 7s, 8s, and 9s, is that where we're going at? Is that why you've been really nice? Just as a quick aside before I get back into Wimbledon. You hadn't thought about that. Look, rattled.
No, I thought about that. Yeah, I thought about that.
But no, with Wimbledon, that's what's going on behind the scenes. So they feel like they're kind of at the limit. Obviously, they started the season really well, but there's a little bit of turmoil behind the scenes. The AGM or the elections process for who represents the fan shareholders on the board was a little bit messy this year. And there's a little bit of conflict going on there. And I do wonder if the most recent form, which I'll get on very shortly, is on the back of that. All is not particularly well behind the scenes at AFC Wimbledon, whilst on the pitch, Johnny Jackson's got on playing very, very, very well compared to the expectations, like you say, Matt, most people had of Wimbledon going into this season. But they started really, really well. Nathan Bishop came in from Sunderland to replace Owen Goodman. And whilst I don't think the Wimbledon fans look at him as quite as nicely as he did Goodman, he's doing more than a good enough job there for them. But then this is what happens with teams that come up. Mansfield started really well last season, didn't they? They were top for quite a while, I believe, early on, and they fell away. Port Vale this season started okay, and now they're very much not okay. So it is not an uncommon thing happening.
Bradford.
However, the only Wimbledon's issue though,
although they're still clinging on.
Yeah, with Wimbledon though, the form you do have to consider they don't draw many games, just like Town. I think they've drawn one, we've drawn one, and they've lost games. But the games they have lost are to teams that, on paper, you'd consider quite big team in this division. They've lost to Bolton, they've lost to Cardiff, they've lost to Luton. They're a strange team. They lost 4 in a row at one point earlier on in the season and followed that up by winning 6 out of 7, a bit Michael Duff-like from last year. However, in the last few games, they've lost Matty Stevens. Matty Stevens has 7 goals and assists, 5 goals for them. Still the top scorer, even though he's been out since the end of October. And they did win a couple of games after his injury hit. However, last 3 times out in the league, they've lost to Burton, they've lost to Peterborough, and they've lost to Wigan. That is huge warning signs because, of course, those teams aren't great, neither on paper nor on the field. Burton aside, I think they're a little bit better than what most people give them credit for. But all of a sudden, this form has dropped with Stevens dropping out. They play a 3-5-2, but it shifts to a 4-1-4-1 as well. But for Town going into this, Matt, I actually think it's another team we're facing at the right time. And that's happened quite a bit this season, surprisingly enough. I don't think we've taken full advantage of it just yet. But just like Mansfield was the right team at the right time, Plymouth was the right team at the right time. This, to me, is another team ripe for a bit of a Town special, depending on Lee Grant's decisions on Saturday.
Town special is Charity FC. But I understand where you're coming from. Throwing Wimbledon lost 2-0 at home to Gateshead in the FA Cup.
And they put a decent team out in that as well. There was quite a strong Wimbledon team in that.
Yeah. Yes, so Wimbledon and Town have almost identical records. 1-8, drawn 1, lost 7, as you mentioned, Killer. They don't draw many. 25 goals for Town, 22 conceded. Wimbledon only scored 20. So the two teams are level on points. A win either way could push Huddersfield or Wimbledon up into 5th or 6th, depending on results elsewhere. So we'll go into this a bit more. So we don't have a fan this week, unfortunately. It's been too sharp of a turnaround, so I've not really been able to get a Wimbledon fan in to give us the lowdown on Wimbledon. Instead, we had Killer do that very nicely there, and I think Killer, can you hear the school bell going?
Oh, geography is all that we ever were. Oh, geography is all that we ever were.
Yes, it's time to get your pencil case out because it is a pitch geography lesson with Mr. Grant, as myself and Killer will try and look at the certain permutations with the use of our tactics board of how we think both teams will line up on the day. So I think first things first, Town have got injuries and suspensions as always. Anthony Evans we talked about this in Andy Takes That Chance Extra Time, which is a Patreon member exclusive, which looks at basically it's an immediate post-match reaction to any midweek game, where me and Killer will do that live on Patreon. So you can sign up www.takesthatchance.com if you want to get involved, and we do get some opinions from those watching as well. So that aside, we have Town and Luton. Town and Wimbledon. I think that honestly, those injections have sent me mental. Town and Wimbledon on the pitch here. Town we expect will continue with their 4-4-2. Unfortunately, Mikel Miller, we were talking about injuries, and Anthony Evans has done his MCL when he came on against Luton, and within, a mate of mine said Anthony Evans had gone off injured before Flash Score had come up and said that he'd come on the pitch, which is, I think it's indicative of the last 2 years of Huddersfield Town, and it's horrible for Anthony Evans, and it's one of those where you just feel really sorry for the player, because and you could see in Lee Grant's interview after the game and in the press conference today, you can see he's really upset for him, and it's a real shame for Anthony Evans. Marcus Harness is suspended for that stupid yellow card he got against Luton, which was completely unnecessary. So that's a frustrating one. But I will say this much: if there's one game where you kind of think Marcus Harness, if you could cherry pick a game at this current run where you'd want him to be suspended, it'd probably be this one. Having said that, Wimbledon will probably get on top in midfield now, so it's a tough one. David Kasumu's fairly close. He might be available. McGuane, Watmo still out, as are Alves, Kane, Redmond, and about 50,000 other players as Huddersfield Town continue to struggle with injury. Dan Vost might potentially be a wild card for this one as well. So we're looking at the team, Killer, Huddersfield Town. How do we think they'll line up? Mikel Miller's going to be out for a couple of months as well. I don't think I mentioned him in that little roundup there. What's happened? So what happened against Luton effectively meant that Town played without any width on that left-hand side from their midfielders. And Town's 4-4-2 kind of became similar to that Brazilian box formation from the 1990s, whereby the wingers would kind of come in and play as prototype number 10s, if you like. Ben Wiles has been doing that, regardless. And then the fullbacks were due to push on. Just very, very quickly to go over what went over on extra time. Joe Lowe's inclusion, unfortunately, pushed Town's defence about 10 yards further back and deeper, which meant the fullbacks also were pushed back further and deeper, which meant that there was no overlaps on against Luton. So that's really why the system kind of fell down. And not to pin that all on one player, because that would be unfair. But when you're bringing in players of that style who don't have rapid recovery pace, they do tend to drop deeper. And we saw that last season, Killer, with Tom Lees as well. Michael Duff wanted his back three to play high. Tom Lees wasn't having any of it, and they ended up creating a huge gap between defence and midfield, which they struggled, which essentially is why the strikers struggled to score goals last season. But anyway, so we think Town will have to go something similar against Wimbledon, basically due to lack of personnel. However, there are other options. So in goal, I don't think there's any way to sugarcoat it. Owen Goodman's had a bit of a stinker in midweek. But I do think that this is the perfect game for him in which he can bounce back. He's coming up against Wimbledon, and I think there will be some form of comfort in playing Wimbledon or having Wimbledon on the pitch with him. I think there's just that familiarity. I know he's not playing for them, he's playing for us. But sometimes mentally that can just trigger something. And I do think that this is a good game to kind of stick with Goodman if he's your medium to long-term plan. And I think he will continue in goal despite there being some opposition and pressure for Lee Grant to do so. I've said on this podcast I would have never dropped Lee Nichols in the first place. But if you throw Goodman in, he is young. He is going to make a few errors. He does this thing which really winds me up where he pushes shots out into danger rather than away from goal. And we conceded against Luton because of that. And we conceded against Mansfield in the Virtue Trophy as well because of that. But he's a young keeper who's improving and needs to be given the opportunity to do so. So I think killer for me, Goodman keeps his shirt. I think it would be harsh maybe of Grant to drop him out so soon after putting him in. I think that would basically kill Goodman off confidence-wise, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think he did enough poor in just the one game to get an instant drop in. However, Lee Grant was quite confusing in his post pre-match presser, wasn't he? Always like, I've got 2 number ones, and while Owen Goodman's my number one, I'll die for him. I want him to be my number one. And then if he's not my number one, I want Lee Nichols to be number one. I'll support him until he's not my number one. And normally I think with Lee Grant, you can kind of pick out what he's thinking and what he's going to go and do. And to be fair, Matt, I'm not entirely sure. I'd keep Goodman in. I was a support of it first time round. I think he will, but I'm not entirely sure, Matt. I'm not entirely sure. I think Lee Grant has a desire to keep the group happy by rotating quite a lot, such as Sean Rowan not playing the other day and Murray Wallace being on the bench. I think there's quite a bit of this going on still. He was definitely there at the beginning of the season. Big Kev flew in, and for 3 games, it was quite a static selection, wasn't it? Quite a static team selection, understandably. But I don't know. I actually don't know on this one. I wouldn't be surprised to see Lee Nichols in goal, Matt, on Saturday. But I do think that makes it hard for Owen Goodman then. Like you say, young lad, we've seen at this club with Ryan Schofield and other keepers where they're young, they've come in, it's not worked, and you've kind of eroded the confidence and they've never been the same again. Owen Goodman, for me, didn't put that level of performance in against Luton, although, like you say, Matt, that pushing out does me in because the winning goal, I think he should have caught that from the first dive. It's an outside of the foot shot from outside the box, which there isn't really much on it, and he's pushed it back into play. I know he's pushed it wide, but still, I think he could have caught that ball. The only problem is with AFC Wimbledon, not MK Dons. They are big boys, and I do think up top they will be throwing their weight about somewhat. If Bugle, I can't remember. I don't know exactly how to pronounce his name. It's a little bit different when you're watching the commentaries and the on the highlights. But the big boys, and I think for Goodman it'll be a really good test for him because I don't think we've seen him get battered about a bit from a big striker. So I'd quite like to see how he reacts as well. And against his former club, having taken a bit of abuse myself, I don't know if you saw that on X. I saw Talai the other day score against Port Vale and give it the big one and celebrate. And I was all like, yeah, love that. I want to see more of that. And then Nigel Lonvik done the exact same thing to us yesterday after being at the Luton Town, saying he didn't know why his arm got so much attention following the game. But no, I think Goodman probably 51% chance of getting this start, but I'm not entirely convinced, Matt.
Yeah. Back 4 as usual. Ruskin will keep his shirt left back, we imagine, although Sean Rowan will be knocking at some point. Lasse Sorensen, right back. We think he's the guy in form. He's playing quite well. Centre backs, Balker if Balker is anywhere near fit, he has to come back into the team. If he's injured, as he indicated that he might be to somebody in the crowd, as you would have heard on Extra Time, an exclusive from Mr. Kilroy Silk. If he's injured, then I'm struggling. I'm struggling with the game. But hopefully Balker's fit to take his place. And he's playing well alongside Josh Feeney. So I do think there may be some merit in Joe Lowe playing on the right-hand side. I went back and looked at some of his performances for Wickham or just whatnot, and basically he's never played on the left side of defence before. He's always on the right side. And I know some people say, well, centre of the park, but it is slightly different for centre backs. And I just wonder whether he's struggling to adapt as a left-sided centre back, and that lack of comfort is leading him also to drop back. So I would be quite interested to see what he's like on the right if Balka plays on the left. But I don't think you can really drop Josh Feeney, although we talk about that second Luton goal. He does play a significant part in that as well. But either way, Killer, I think that's the back four: Sorensen, Ruskin, Balka, and Feeney. I think anything from you
No,
on that one?
it simply has to be. If those four are available, they have to start. Balka is the most important person in our team at the moment. I'm with you. I think Lowe could play instead of Feeney at some point this season because we've not seen Joe Lowe play with Balka. I feel like when Balka plays, there's a leader there and he does orchestrate things very, very well. And that's another reason why we look so much better. Not just his ball playing ability, but his organisation. And I think, like you say, Joe Lowe on the right hand side next to him at some point probably will happen if Balka stays fit. And that might be quite good considering the height of Joe Lowe against certain teams. But for now, Feeney has to get the start next to Balka if, like you say, Balka's available.
Okay, so middle of the pack is Harness is out. So what do you do here, Killer? Because Ledson is going to be a shoe-in. The Ledson Kasumu midfield combination doesn't really work. But having said that, they also were struggling with that deep midfield as well because of the centre-backs dropping off. So if Balka's in there, maybe that changes that dynamic a little bit and they can get a little higher and rat around and win the ball back. Other than that, the only real options are Vost in midfield, or maybe dropping Wiles or Castledine in there. I think I'm slightly siding towards Kasumu if he's fit. However, I understand that him and Ledson are not the ideal partnership in there.
Gooch is another option as well, Matt. Although I don't really want to see it. I think that's another potential. I've seen it before. My issue is
penciled in elsewhere.
Yeah, I don't think Kasuma will be in. I don't think Kasuma will come from not playing at all to suddenly being starting. I think Evans would have got the start had he not had that awful injury. I drop in Castledine or Wiles because I don't think the pair of them can play as our wide guys. Against Luton, there was no width at all. We were terrible in that area. I know Castledine scored a great goal and came alive a bit second half of the game. But I think the way Wiles has been playing as that wide right who tucks in has been offset by Miller on the left-hand side. You have to have one of those two guys as a wide guy that's got a bit of pace and can wait until Ruskin overlaps on one side or whatever, but you need some sort of width. So for me, you've got to drop either Castledine or Wiles onto the bench if one of them isn't going in to the middle of midfield. So for me, I'd like to see Castledine in there, to be totally honest, Matt. I think he's always more effective down the middle of the field. I don't think we've actually seen him have a good game as a winger, if I can remember. I think he's had some of his worst performances when he played out left. What was he terrible against when he first did it? Was it Stockport he played wide left? I can't
it was bad at home,
remember.
Against someone.
Yeah, and he was really, really poor. He's not that guy. He needs to play centrally as a 10, and you can only have one of those wide guys tucking in. But I'd like to see him in the centre of midfield, just like we want to see Marcus Harness playing there, and that worked out pretty well. I think Castledine's got the ability to do that, and against a team that are probably going to sit back somewhat against us, I think that'd be the way to go next to Ledson. Will Lee Grant do it? I doubt it, but that's what my goal would be. I think it's going to be Gooch, Matt.
Okay, so for me on the right hand side, Ben Wiles is in drop-in territory, I think, after his performance in midweek, but he's got the one against Mansfield in the bank, which might carry him through. So I think Wiles probably keeps his shirt. For me, on the left-hand side, I would drop Castledine from that role. But I have seen little flashes where he comes inside and Ruskin goes on the outside, but they don't quite have that understanding just yet. But it does open space for Castledine to cut in and shoot. And I know Lee Grant kind of likes people to play against their old clubs, doesn't he? We've seen from some of his team selections so far, which I think sometimes gives players a little boost. But I would look at Lyndon Gooch on the left It's a position he played really well for Sunderland in this season. They got promoted. He got quite a lot of goals and assists from the left. I know he's switched to the right in recent years, but the guy's 29 years old. He doesn't forget how to play on the left wing after doing it for years on end. I would go with him or Cameron Asher on the left. I don't think it's a brilliant game for Asher. However, if Wimbledon play a back three with wing backs, then he might get a bit more joy and a bit more space to run into down that side. But it'll also mean he won't have the space to cut in field. So I would potentially go Gooch on the left and Wiles on the right, Killer. And I'm sticking with Bojan and Charles up front, although I think there will be a strong temptation to maybe bring Alfie May in to that team, but I don't think he's quite earned it just yet.
Yeah, just for clarification, I would have taken Wiles off against Luton at halftime. I thought he was terrible in that first half. However, I think he gets a start on that wide right for two reasons. I think he offers something still nobody else can in moments, not consistent enough. We all know that. But every manager we have pick him basically every game, no matter what. He'll probably get that start on the right-hand side. And with you, Matt, I think on that left-hand side, Castledine can't be that guy, especially if Wiles is on the right. If Castledine's on the right over Wiles and Wiles is subbing, fair enough. But as I've mentioned, I'd rather have Castledine next to Ledson in that middle. Cam Asher, I think, is next man up on that left-hand side over Gooch. I'm not entirely convinced to do a great job at it because over the course of a full game, I think his defensive work really lets him down. It did against Mansfield. Bowery came on, the number 9 centre-back, and he played wide right for a little bit, and he caused Cam Asher quite a few problems in that Asher is ready just to go forward because he wants to attack the goal. You understand that, young lad, learning his trade. Defensively, though, I think he switches off sometimes because of it. He'll get better, I'm sure he will in time. But that said, Matt, I think of all the performances we've had up until now, he's kind of earned a start. So for me, I chuck him in there. Although Gooch, like you said, is a decent option. But I'm against you a little bit up top. I think Alfie May has to come in for Dion Charles. I think we are a better team with Alfie May in it. And with the way we have played recently with Balker at the back, it's my opinion that it's come from the back and made everybody else better. It's not that the front line's been better and dragged everybody else with it, which is a really important distinction to make, isn't it? Do you think it's Charles and Bojan that's made the biggest difference? As some town fans think, Matt, I know you're not quite on that.
No,
two up tops made the difference. I'm with you on that. And I think with Alfie May up top, it'll give everyone a lift, including the fans in the stand. Dion Charles deserves all the credit he's got recently, but against Luton, I thought it was quite poor. Not necessarily his fault, but there wasn't that much supply to him. But Alfie May gives us something nobody else does. And I'd really, really want to see him with Bojan Radulovic, the new beefed up Bojan Radulovic, from the start for an extended period of time. Because for me, if you're asking, is that a partnership that could get this team promoted? Maybe it could be, but with Charles and Radulovic, I feel like it's working for now, but I don't know if it will forever, if that makes any sense. I think an on-fire Alfie May is more important for us than anybody else when it comes to our strikers. So for me, Matt, because of Luton, I'd be going with Alfie May. But I do know that's harsh on Dion Charles, especially considering his goal scoring record recently.
Yeah, I think he's been good recently. And if Balker comes back in, I'm quite happy for him to continue. But I do as well want to see. I was really sort of disappointed. I know we talked about this on Extra Time, but I was very disappointed when he brought Alfie May on to play alongside Bojan. He gave him about 90 seconds before he took Bojan off and made Alfie May play as the target man. And I do want to see a concerted spell where Alfie May plays off of Bojan, because I think we might see something a little bit different from Alfie May that we've not seen yet so far. And I think it'll be something quite clever as well if he can get between the lines. But he seems to want to drop quite deep, whether that's frustrations of the system and the ball not going forward quickly enough. We should really be able to get a good handle on that once he's played up front with someone like Bojan. But so that's it for Town. Me and Killer differ slightly on that, but broadly the same, I think. How will Wimbledon line up? So Wimbledon are an interesting team. So in goal, we expect Nathan Bishop. Nathan Bishop spent last season on loan at Cambridge, made 14 appearances. He came back. He came on loan from Sunderland, I should say. So he's on loan from the Mackems to Wimbledon this season. Seems to do okay. He's 26 years old. He's not a young pup, is he? He's a good age, I guess, for a goalkeeper. He's never really been settled anywhere as a first choice other than a loan at Mansfield a couple of years ago, and then 14 games at Cambridge last season. So he's quite green, although he was at Southend as a kid, and he got 39 games under his belt there. So he's an interesting keeper. His ratings on FootMob have kind of like dive bombed recently, and he did get dropped for the Bromley game and Gateshead in the FA Cup as well. And then he came back for the 5-0 loss to Peterborough and had a bit of a stinker, I think. So we expect him to be in goal. I think we're going to go 4-1-4-1 in this system killer. And they have Isaac Ogundere can play. He's the guy that will either play right centre back or right back in the system. He's come through the. I almost said MK Dons again. I'm going to get slaughtered if they catch me anywhere near the ground. And honestly, it's like a cardinal sin of football. He came through the AFC Wimbledon Academy, had a little loan spell at Dartford, and he's made over 100 appearances now for Wimbledon. Only 23 years old, pretty decent, adaptable player. Joe Lewis with the shorts plays at centre back as well. Joe Lewis has been at Wimbledon for a couple of years after he was at Stockport, and Johnny Gillespie's favourite Torquay. The other centre back, left centre back, will be Ryan Johnson. He's a left-footed centre back, so they've got quite a nice balance there with Lewis and Ogundere. So he's made over 100 appearances for Wimbledon as well, and that, he's made over 100 appearances. Ogundere's made over 100 appearances. Joe Lewis has come in and made an impact. So it kind of shows you why they've got such a good defence killer. They've got a lot of understanding between the three. They've been there a little while now, so they will be quite tough to break down for Town. Steve Seddon is the left back or left wing back. He has signed from Motherwell, came in the summer. Steve Seddon, bit of a football one of those that seems to be all right in Football Manager when you're in the lower leagues. But he made 42 appearances for Burton a couple of seasons ago as well. So he's done the rounds. I've been at Oxford as well. So that's a decent back four / 3 and the wing back. Jake Reeves is one of the most important players at the minute, Killer. He's the one who sits in deep in midfield and he tries to make things happen. He was at Wimbledon before. He made over 100 appearances before he was punished and sent to Bradford for 3 years. After that, he's kind of bounced around between Notts County and Stevenage, but he's come back and he's on the verge of making another 100 appearances in his second spell with Wimbledon. And he's just very important. He's 32 now. He sits in midfield. He can win the ball. He can pass it around and dictate. And he's just sort of a key player in there. He's got a bit of a shot on him as well. Passing accuracy is around about 80%, which for a team that plays forward quite a lot isn't too bad. So he's the one that Town will need to stop playing if Wimbledon get their foot on the ball. On the in midfield, so on the right of midfield, you'll get Aaron Sasu, who can also play on the left. 20-year-old who, again, another one through the AFC Wimbledon. Must do it again. AFC Wimbledon Academy. Alistair Smith will play central midfield. 26 years of age. Another one who's been at Wimbledon for a little while. So he came in July 2024 on loan from Lincoln, and he's joined permanently now. So he's coming up to around about 75 appearances for Wimbledon. He sort of brings the legs in midfield and gets around and wins the ball. And then you've got Miles Hippolyte as well. He can play in the middle of the park or on the left. He's 31 as well, and again, plenty of experience, Football League experience with Wimbledon, Stockport, Scunthorpe, Yeovil behind him. So again, it shows why they're such a tough team to break down. And then you've also got Marcus Brown, who can play as your number 10. He's 27. He's been around for ages as well. Fans of Oxford will remember him. He's been at Middlesbrough. He's played against Town for Middlesbrough. So he's going to be the number 10. And then the man up front is probably going to be Danilo Orsi. A big striker, like say, a bit of meat on him, a bit of meat smashing meat there, killer with him and Jolo maybe. He had a really good spell a couple of years ago at Crawley, where he smashed in 20 odd goals in 50 games for them, and he was their man when they got promoted to League One, and then he kind of he left straight away because Crawley obviously don't pay massive amounts and they give out short contracts. So he went to Burton where he was last season, and he kind of did okay. 7 goals for Burton last season, which isn't bad, but he was more of a foil for Roman Burrell. And then he had a loan spell at MK as well, and he's at Wimbledon this year. He's only got a couple of goals, but he's big and he's useful. He's a handful, just kind of awkward, isn't he? So that's how we think Wimbledon will line up. Any opposition to that killer? And if you do,
No,
if you don't, just
not
take
at
us
all.
into your prediction for the game.
No, like I say, the big boys. The only thing with them and the way Town can actually get at them here is Wimbledon. If you let them set the fine, they are good down the middle. They're really, really solid. And if your tempo is not high and you give them a chance to reset, like we used to play at the beginning of this season, where we kind of just waited for the games to come to us, we won't score in 90 minutes. It won't happen. What you have to do with Wimbledon is you have to try and attack them quick. If you go back to the Peterborough game, especially, even Burton before that, and you look at the way they concede goals, it's when you get their good centre backs, their big boys, turned around running backwards, they struggle. Now, this is why half the reason I want Camacho in on the left hand side, because I really think Mikael Miller's a massive loss for us for this game, especially because again he's about as good as it gets. Him and Ruskin on that left hand side as a partnership, overlapping and going towards goal or crossing to the back post, because that's how you beat a team like Wimbledon. They are a solid League One team that aren't. I don't know. They did like roll over for Peterborough, but that's because I think with Peterborough they didn't respect them, so they kept going at them, and kept conceding in the same way. The way Peterborough attack is exactly how Town have to attack, and that's with fast attacks down the wings. For me, Matt, I think they are the right team at the right time again. I'm pretty confident on a 3-0 Town win this weekend, and that might be the most confident prediction I've put in this season. Because normally I have conceding a goal, but for some reason against this lot, I don't think we will. I think we'll be at them from the off. But I will caveat this: it has to be Bolka starting. If not, a total different prediction. I don't think we'll win at all. I think it'll be a draw without Bolka. But with Bolka starting as centre back, I will go 3-0 Town. Alpha May getting a double, and Bojan Radulovic getting one as well. So I'm hedging my bets on Alpha May getting the start as well.
Yeah, I'm less confident than you. Basically, because I'm looking at that defense, and I'm Balka is a huge player for this. But if Balka plays, then Charles can get behind them. If Charles is playing, or May, one of the two can get behind down the line, and I think they might get it and pull it back for Bojan, similar to how we scored against Plymouth. I think Town will win, but I think it'll be unconvincing. I'm going to go for a 2-1 on this one, a 2-1 or a 1-0. I think they're going to be awkward. I think they might sit in, and I think it might frustrate us for periods. If we can score early, I think then we'll probably score another and then concede towards the end like we do and have a shit ourselves for 15 minutes or whatever. But I'm gonna go for a goal for Bojan Radulovic because I think we can get down the side and pull it across for him.
Yeah.
And then the other one, you see, they're quite set for set pieces as well. I don't think they're too bad on set pieces. So I think the other way that we score is either by something falling in the box or someone like Camacho or Castledine cutting in from the left and going across them. Because I don't think that's quite what they like. I think they're quite happy if you run at them in straight lines. If you come across them, I think they're a little bit less inclined. So this could be a good game for Ben Wiles to turn up and show what he can do as well, coming across them. So I think Sorensen is going to be key as well, going down the right-hand side. But I'm going to go for... I'm going to go for whoever's playing on the left. I feel like I want to go for Lyndon Gooch because I want to see him on the left, but I don't think it's going to happen. So okay, I'll go for Castledine against his old club. He came through the academy there, didn't he? So we'll go for Leo Castledine. I almost called him Stuart Castledine. I think it's time that we ended this because I'm all over the place, mate. Referring to him as his dad, who was a Wimbledon legend back in the Crazy Gang days and whatnot. But that's it. I think me and Killer are hopeful of a win this week. A win could propel Town into the top 6 if results are favourable. It'd be a strange one, Killer, because we don't really deserve to be in that top 6 at this moment in time. But if we find ourselves in there playing poorly, you do have hope that if we turn around and start playing well, then we can stay in there. It's a strange league this year. So how will Town get on? Hopefully it's well. And then we'll be back this Sunday, where I'm hopeful that we've secured a thespian as our special guest for Sunday evening, which isn't Chris Markham. Killer, you're looking at me. And we'll be back then. And let's roll in. Let's pick some music, Killer. What do you fancy?
I want Cozzy singing. I always want Cozzy singing.
You want Cozzy's hamstring song? We'll play that one in.
Da-na-na-na, 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 bing, da-na-na-na-na-na, the hamstring.